Hello, hello, and welcome to the weekly energy update for the week of October 26th, 2025. I'm Renee Spears, a spirit guide channeler and spiritual mentor, and I'm coming to you from beautiful Bozeman, Montana. Every Sunday, I share the energy for the week ahead, and I also infuse the show with some positive vibes, so you get a little positive energy boost just for listening. And welcome to one of my favorite weeks of the year. It's Halloween week. And this whole week leading up to Halloween is filled with good luck and magic, thanks to a series of lovely grand water trines. But before we get to that, let's talk about all the celebrations happening this week, starting with Halloween. And I've mentioned before that the longer something has been celebrated, the more it affects our energy. So the roots of Halloween go back over 2,000 years to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. And Samhain is that weird word that looks like you would pronounce it Samhain. But Samhain marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. It's the midpoint between the equinox and the solstice. And the Celts believed that on this night, the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead was thinnest, allowing spirits and ancestors and fairies to cross over. So they lit fires to guide the souls and to protect against mischievous spirits. They left food and drinks outside for the ancestors, and people dressed up in costumes to blend in with the spirits and avoid being tricked. So spiritually, Samhain is all about endings and new beginnings, the end of harvest season and the start of winter. It's a time to honor death as a natural part of life and to connect with our ancestors for their wisdom and their guidance. So when Christianity spread, the church incorporated Samhain traditions into All Saints' Day, which is November 1st, and that's a day to honor saints and martyrs. The night before it became known as All Hallows' Eve, which over time evolved into Halloween. So by the time Halloween reached America in the 1800s, it had become a blend of the old and new customs. So jack-o'-lanterns originated from the Celtic use of carved turnips to ward off evil spirits. Trick-or-treating evolved from children going door-to-door offering prayers for the dead in exchange for food. And costumes and masks remained from the old tradition of trying to fool or hide from wandering spirits. Though we think of Halloween as fun, it isn't just about costumes and candy. The underlying themes are deeply spiritual. It reminds us that death isn't the end. The cycle of life continues eternally, and even in darkness, there is magic, mystery, and renewal. Also at the end of this week is Day of the Dead, and it's been around for centuries too. So way back in the day, way back in the day, the Aztecs and the Mayans held festivals honoring the dead. For these people, death wasn't the end. So Day of the Dead isn't about mourning. It's about love that transcends death. When the Spanish arrived in the 16th century, they brought All Saints' Day, which is November 1st, and All Souls' Day, which is November 2nd. And the indigenous people blended these days with their tradition, and this created what we now know as Day of the Dead. So November 1st honors children and infants who have passed, and November 2nd honors adults who have passed. And altars are set up with photos and candles and marigolds and food and drinks and personal items to welcome their loved ones' spirits home. So spiritually, Dia de los Muertos teaches us that death is sacred, not tragic. It's a natural part of life, not an ending, but a transition. And celebrating with food and laughter and music raises the vibration, and this allows spirits to return more easily. And again, it's a time when the veil between worlds is thin, just like with Samhain, but the energy is warm and loving rather than shadowy or mysterious. And the whole week leading up to these ancient sacred days is just lovely because of multiple planets forming grand water trines. And a grand water trine occurs when 3 planets are in a water sign, and they form 120-degree angles. So Jupiter in Cancer, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and Mercury and Mars in Scorpio all align beautifully this week. And grand trines are an astrologer's dream come true transits. They don't stir up drama the way a T-square or an eclipse does. They're a subtle, supportive energy that just makes everything smoother. It's like hitting every green light or catching the perfect wave. Everything just moves forward effortlessly. We're in sync with the universe. We're at the right place at the right time. And everything just flows. And because this is a water trine, it's the perfect time for a bath ritual. So light some candles, put some essential oils in your bath, and set an intention for something new to be birthed. Think of it like a water birth for what you want to manifest. The other thing making this week so wonderful is the move of Mercury into Sagittarius on Wednesday the 29th. Mercury, the planet of communication, has been in deep Scorpio the past few weeks. And when it moves into Sagittarius, it's like a switch has been flicked, and the energies are instantly a little lighter. This is a happy-go-lucky time when we're just going to feel more optimistic about things. So October ends on a high note. After all of the challenging stuff we've been through, by the end of the month, we'll remember what it feels like for the universe to have our back. We're going through some intense transformational times, and this is a good week to remember that it's also great to be alive. So take a few baths, eat some candy, light some candles, talk to your loved ones who have passed. Just enjoy all of it. And today is a milestone for me. I moved to Montana 4 years ago. After the movers packed up all my stuff, I was so excited to get here that I drove all night from Portland and arrived in Bozeman about this time 4 years ago. So I love milestones like this. So as always, thank you for listening and passing the podcast on to a friend. Have a lovely, lovely week. And I'll be back next week to talk about the astrology and numerology for November.